Alright folks, this time we've got a really good video. As you can tell from the title, I've acquired some parts and I have found the ultimate bumper, the holy grail of the 80s and the 90s. If you was into the show truck scene or monster trucks or anything, this is the bumper that you wanted. So come along, let's check it out. Alright, like I said, to me and to a lot of people, this is the holy grail of bumpers. But we found some other stuff while we was at it. And I want to show you this stuff, and I'm going to tell you what I paid for everything. Because a lot of these prices are getting out of hand for a lot of these parts, and it's just ridiculous. What I paid for all this was, I would say, a really good deal to reasonable. But everything's in the back of the Excursion, so let's start with the brush guard. I think that's the number one thing, that the closest thing to coming out. Okay, that's all this. Now, I know it's in pieces, but what you're looking at is a worn brush guard. This is the brush guard that actually bolts to the frame, and what all brush guards should be. It's very stout, very tough. The only thing that I can see that is flimsy is the light guards, and you know, unless you have like a modern off-road bumper with the brush guard and it ties it into the bumper, the light guards are always going to be flimsy. That's just how they made them. But the centerpiece is where it's at. And while I was over there, we had already made a deal on the other stuff. And I just happened to ask about this because I wanted the winch plate right here. It was just, winch plates are, they're kind of on the expensive side. Not really, but they're, you know, you can get one to Harbor Freight $50. But I figured, you know, if I get that, that's an extra. Go wait. That's an extra winch plate to have around. This guy was into the 90s Chevrolet pickups, and I think this is that's what this fits. I'm sure that you can make it fit other things, because all you got to do is, you know, do some trimming. Basically on your upright pieces here, and you'll have to modify your brackets. You know, this right here, an actual worn brush guard, paid $60 for it. Like I said, this was all I was after, so if I could get it for around the price of what a winch plate costs, I was going to buy it. And you know, now, obviously, if it was chrome, it'd been a lot more money. I know a lot of people don't like the chrome now, but here's the thing. This is not expensive. You can spray paint it. Chrome it's expensive to get stuff chrome, so obviously it commands a higher price. You know, $60 for this is a really good deal. You know, what's it really worth? And that's the thing about it. When you start saying, well, it's worth this, it's worth that, that's conjecture. Everybody's different. Just like with what we're going to get to, a lot of people will say I stole it. But yeah, $60 for this, I think it's a fair deal. And if you was going to resell it, there's some meat left on the bone, because if you're going to, I know this sounds like I'm dogging the fellers that have brush guards, but if you're going to waste your money on a brush guard, this is the one to have, because it bolts to the frame, okay? All the others that bolt to the bumper, if you're buying it for any other purpose than that it looks good, you're wasting your money. If you think that that's going to really help on the impact, it's not. You know, unless it's tied to the frame, All you're doing is adding something else to the bumper to help it fold up. That's it. And I know a lot of people disagree, but really and truthfully, unless it's bolted to the frame, other than looks, it's useless. So, all right, this is the first piece. Let's get the next piece out of the truck. All right, next piece. This is a Warren HS 9500i. So this is a 9,500 pound winch, and it's an actual Warren. And the guy had this laying there, and when I called about the bumper, he asked me if I was going to put a winch in it. I said, well, probably. And he said, well, I've got one that you could put in it. He said, I've had it for a while and had to replace some parts in it, which that's the good thing about Warrens, you can rebuild them. But the Warrens, especially the old Warrens, are worth buying. But you know, it's got the cable, don't have a hook, you'd have to get a hook. It's got the cables, and you can tell this cable is really small compared to, you know, what most winches have now. This is my time. This is probably, I don't know, this is 3/8 maybe. I've got a Badland right down here, and that cable's a lot thicker. I don't think that's got to be 3/8 cable on that, so I don't know what this is. Anyways, but like I said, he replaced a few parts, and which this thing, he said he'd sit outside for probably 2 years, but paid $200 for it. Now it didn't come with the remote, but like I said, really for any old Warren winch, they're worth buying just because you can rebuild them, and worst case, this becomes parts, you know, if I was to get another one. But I would imagine as long as nothing major is wrong with it, you know, it shouldn't take more than maybe a couple $100 to get this thing in good shape. And which the cable's starting to fray and everything, so I would go ahead and replace it with one of the replacement cables, probably from Harbor Freight, and those are either 50 or 75 foot, I can't remember, but they're like 40 bucks. I think they're around 40 bucks. So I would do that, and the reason why I didn't say I would go in with synthetic is because this spool already had cable, and a very good possibility that if you was to put synthetic on it, it'd probably fray it and tear it and, you know, really chew it up. So I wouldn't go with synthetic on this. Now if it was a brand new winch, freshly spun, freshly wound with cable, yeah, you can probably get away with taking the cable off and putting the synthetic rope on. But something like this that's already seen use, I probably wouldn't chance it. I'm not sure how old this one is. I would guess no more than 20 or 30 years old. I would, the way it looks, the way it's designed and everything, I would figure early 2000s, somewhere in the 2000s. So, but 200 bucks. I know Warrens have got a good name, and especially the old M74, 32, 55 Hut, whatever, like on the 70s models that stood like this tall. that all the trucks back in had. I know those was really good, and Warren actually still makes them. They have a line just for that model, but they're expensive. They're around $3,000, and you know, they've come out with their new line that's like an economy line, and they're cheaper, but they're made overseas, which they probably won't be much cheaper for long, depending on everything going on right now. Shouldn't have no trouble getting parts if there's anything wrong with it. We may, I don't know, do a revival on a winch. It's possible. So, yeah, there's my Warren winch, $200, and I think I don't think it was a bad deal. You can let me know in the comments what you think, if it was a good deal, bad deal, if I should have paid him more or whatever. So we've paid $60 for the brush guard. That's a Warren. We've paid $200 for a Warren 9,500 pound winch. Now the piece that you clicked on this video to start with, let's see what we got. Now, I know it looks like these bumpers ain't that heavy. It's just awkward. Ah, Viola! A Warren Enforcer. Yes. I've wanted one of these for at least 20 years. And I'll tell you a little backstory with it. Like I said, probably 20 years ago, or maybe not that long, but close. I had, you know, how many of you remember the thick O'Reilly's catalogs? You know, there's almost like the old Sears Roebuck, but about half the size, half the thickness. Well, I remember sitting in my granddaddy's garage one day, and I was flipping through that catalog, and I remember seeing a bumper, all stainless, had the pockets for the lights, had the lights in it. I thought, man, that thing's sweet. What is that? It said Warren Enforcer. I thought, man, now that's a bumper to have right there. And ever since then, that was the first time I ever seen one. Well, I say that's the first time I ever seen one. First time I got to understand what it was and what it was called. The first time I ever seen one of these was on a truck that some of you might have seen back in the day, might be a fan of. Bigfoot. That's right. This was on Bigfoot number, I think 7 was when they started with the brick nose trucks. And that's basically what, as far as I understand, that's what made this bumper famous, was being on Bigfoot. Now, just like the brush guard, this is made for a 90s Chevrolet, 88 to 98, and up to 2,000 something, whatever. I think 2,000 for the 1 tons, you know, and the Suburbans, okay. And from everything I can tell, the only difference in them, the end caps may be a little different, because you can see, you might be able to see, it's got a rise right here. It raises up. I don't know if that would cause interference with a Ford or whatever, but these plates right here, from what I can tell, are the only things that are different. And you know, you can see the V where it's cut to fit the Chevrolet grill. Well, if you take these plates off, these bumpers are the same. all the way across. I mean, the only difference is technically these are filler panels to go back to the grill. So if that's all there is, there's 3 panels right here that would be very, very simple to remake. I've got the material laying around here. So, and how far off is it? How much of a gap would there be putting it on an OBS Ford or even a brick nose? I don't know. But, and you can see, you got your pocket for your winch, you got your lights, and that's another thing. Most of the time when you find these bumpers, they don't even have the lights in. These are the factory lights that come with this bumper. I mean, just incredible. It's not beat up. It's got some scratches, but it's a bumper. So, I mean, just it's incredible that I own this. I'm tickled to death. And it comes with the brackets. I don't know. Obviously, this end is supposed to slide into the frame. I don't know how much different. I don't know if these would slide into the frame on a Ford and if you can make them work. But the thing about it is the Fords are super easy. Any of you that have dealt with the OBS series, and when I say the OBS series, I'm talking 80 through 97, okay? That to me, that's the 3 variations of the OBS Ford, okay? And any of you that know those trucks know that they're simple on the front. It's just a flat plate that bolts to the frame horns, and then you've got 4 bolts that hold your bumper on. Simple. So if that's the case, obviously this end bolts to the bumper. So if that's the case, essentially what you could do is have a piece of angle iron that would bolt to the Ford frame horns, bumper mounts, whatever you want to call them, and then just go over here and drill your holes, and it's on. So very simple. You could cannibalize these, and you could cut them, take this piece, turn it, and make it to where it would fit, or just make a new one altogether. That's probably what I would do. That way, and just like these pieces up here, if I make new pieces, well, I'll still keep these in case I would ever sell it. Highly doubtful. But to where it could go back on a Chevrolet. But there's the brackets. But yeah, a Warren Enforcer bumper. It's great. It's great to find this stuff. And when people don't want an arm and a leg for it. Okay, now, I told you that I was going to tell you the price, and I'm going to. And a lot of you may be screaming at the phone or the TV or however you're watching this, and when I tell you the price, but I paid $100. One Hondo, $100 bills for this bumper. I know, go ahead and scream, have you a cry, whatever. But yeah, $100. And to me, that's realistic. Okay, a lot of these guys out here, and like I told you, a guy messaged this feller during the time before I come and got it, and said, "Hey, I had one of those. I sold it for $1,000." He said the only reason he sold it is because somebody offered him $1,000. Okay, and You know, I'm on Facebook just like the rest of you. I'm on Marketplace just like the rest of you. Yeah, most of the time you find these, it's got $1,000 price tag on it or something close. You know, guys, quit paying those high prices. It's unnecessary. You know, if the guy won't sell it and wants to hold you up, walk away. You know, don't let this control your finances. Don't let it. If it's not the right deal, walk away. Always be willing to walk away. No matter what the deal is, always be willing to walk away if it's not right. Okay, $100. Now, would I take $100 for this? Absolutely not. It's going to stay in my collection. You know, I would like to put it on one of the trucks. You know, what truck should we put it on? The Fox Hunt? My high school truck? The crew cab? Remember that video? That old crew cab, that crew cab short bed, you know, it's still around. It's coming back soon. I don't want to put it on the Bronco because it being a night clone, everything's supposed to be black on it, so I don't want to put a big shiny bumper on it. You know, like I was saying, $100 to me is very reasonable. There's no reason why this bumper should be trading hands for more than a few $100. There's no reason. I mean, look, I get it. I'm ecstatic over having it, you know, and that's the reason I've not had one till now, because everybody wants $1,000 for it. And, you know, that's just people trying to get rich quick. And I know there's some companies that's repopping, not these, but like the old chrome worn bumpers that you seen on the 70s, the ones that was like, man, that tall. There's a company, it's called Vintage something, I can't remember. But yeah, that little chrome bumper, that little chrome winch bumper, that there's not much to it. It's very simple to remake. I've actually got one that is similar that I'm going to be making templates on pretty soon to possibly start repopping them. But yeah, that company that makes those chrome ones, $3,000. I mean, okay, here's the thing. And I'm not trying to be one of them fellers that just wants to lowball everybody. But the average person that works for a living cannot afford a $3,000 bumper. It's not feasible. And I don't see how they're selling the way they are. But that's just me. But guys, you've got to quit paying these high prices. If the deal ain't right, walk away. And I'll go ahead and let you on a little secret. If the guy wants rid of it bad enough, he'll drop the price. So, if you're the only one that showed up and you walk away because the price ain't right, he'll drop. Unless he's just got plenty of money and don't care. Yeah, you run into them too. But, anyways. So here we have it. The Warren Enforcer. The legendary show truck bumper. That was made famous by old Bigfoot. So, you know, like I said, let me know in the comments what you'd like to see this on. I'd say a lot of it you're going to say your truck, and I understand. But I'm going to take it, clean it up, and enjoy it myself. So the purpose of this was to show you that the deals are still out there. You just got to keep searching, you know, and you're not going to find every one of them overnight. It's going to take years. I've been doing this 17, 18 years now. So, you know, and this is the first one that I've had the chance to get a hold of. So, but just a little overview. We paid $60 for the brush guard. We paid $200 for the winch. We paid $100 for this. $360, and you've got some of the best pieces that was ever made, and one of the most iconic bumpers that was ever produced. So the deals are out there. You know, like I said, if the deal ain't right, walk away. But I appreciate y'all watching. Let me know what you think. I'm gonna take this and clean it up, get it ready to put on something, and you'll probably see it in a future video. So appreciate y'all watching, and till next time, take it easy.